let's see. Are we live? Yep. All right. What's going on, 1425? I hope you got. Welcome to 1425. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. It's getting warmer. Spring is coming. It's pretty much been here most of February. But anyway, just my opinion. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day out there and staying safe. Thank you for checking out my show. Thursday show this week. I might do a few Thursday shows for a few weeks. I got some stuff going on Saturday, so I kind of wanted to do the show today. So, welcome aboard. We got a few things we're going to talk about. Had to call an audible on the original topic because of some stuff, so I kind of had to call an audible, but that's okay. Let's get this show started, shall we? First things first, we are going to finish up our Games of the Year series, starting with part 3 of the regular season, just looking back on a few great games. Let's do this. All right. Who remembers Indiana and Iowa September 27th? This was a good one, 20-15, one of the Hoosiers' close wins en route to their national championship. This was kind of, for me, the beginning of the wake-up call to see how good Indiana really, well, made me realize how good this Indiana team really could be, because not only could they destroy you and pretty much murder you on the field, they could also win close slugfest and not have to score a crap ton of points. And this is what they did at Iowa when they won 20-15. Speaking of Iowa, their fans are going to hate me for this one, but then there's November 8th, the 18-16 Oregon win over Iowa, last-second field goal in the looked like a pretty good rain that was coming down at that game, but that was a good game. Oklahoma LSU, that was at the end of the season, the last game of the regular season. Oklahoma hung on to win it 17-13. LSU had chances to win the game, but Oklahoma prevailed. Speaking of Oklahoma, here they are again. A few weeks before that, that was November 15th when they beat Bama 23-21 in Tuscaloosa. We were all kind of wondering, is Alabama just cursed against OU? Does OU have Bama's number? And, of course, Alabama would pay them back in the playoffs in Norman. But that was a great game. And that was when I really began to look at OU and say, okay, this is a playoff team. And that was a good game, though, in Tuscaloosa. UConn, Duke, I know not many people are going to care about that game, but this was a very fun game. It was one of the Huskies' biggest wins over a Power 4 program. The ACC champions, they beat them November 8th. Another great UConn game, 48-45, when they beat FAU on November 22nd. That was a high-scoring affair. Let's see, September 13th, this was Delaware and UConn. Delaware's, I think this was their first win over an FBS program or something like that. Anyway, 44-41, an overtime thriller. That was fun. Okay, next up, let's continue. And that's not the picture I wanted to share. Is this it? Yeah. October 11th, when Navy beat Temple 32-31. That was a great game in the American. This Navy went on to win, have a 10-win season. November 8th, November 8th. Vanderbilt and Auburn. This game was wild. 45-38. The Commodores won it in overtime. Another one of Diego's great showings. It's weird now. I'm used to seeing Vanderbilt beat Auburn. I'm used to it. It's crazy. But that was one of the SEC's funnest, craziest games. And then you go back a week or so. Was it a week before that or 2 weeks? Maybe it was 2 weeks. Vanderbilt beating Missouri. It was 17-10, a slugfest. But Vanderbilt winning these games that they needed to win. October 18th, Georgia 43, Ole Miss 35. That was a wild one. The Rebels had a 9-point lead late in the third quarter, but Georgia, behind that tough son of a gun, Gunnar Stockton at quarterback, and his really good tight ends, came back and won 43-35. That was a great game. October 11th, Alabama 27, Missouri 24. The Tide hung on in Columbia. That was a really good game. October 11th, this 2-overtime thriller when BYU beat Arizona 33-27. Yeah, that was a good one. And look at this, week 0. Holy crap, we're going back in time with this one. Week 0 last year. Hawaii with the game-winning field goal to beat Stanford. That was a good game, 23-20. September 27th, look back in the Big 12. Arizona State beating TCU 27-24. That was a great game. And then, to put a cap on this, oh, wait. I'm sorry, I put the wrong one up there. All right, moving on. All right, so we did, okay, Texas Tech, Arizona State, October 18th. Arizona State won that game 26-22. That was the Red Raiders' only loss in Big 12 play. Arizona State's obviously a tough place to play at. Also, week 0 in the Big 12. This game was in Ireland, for those who remember. Iowa State beat Kansas State 24-21, and it seemed like Kansas State's season unraveled pretty quickly. October 25th, maybe a very boring score, but this was actually an exciting game. Wake Forest beating SMU 13-12. That was a big upset. Nice win for the Deacs. Last second field goal, I believe. August 31st, this is kind of embarrassing, but Kent State 21, Merrimack 17. But my lord, you know how anybody who follows the G6, the MAC, you know how bad Kent State football has been for a long time. So you get a win anywhere you can take it, even if it's a close one over an FCS program. September 6th, South Florida, when they went into Gainesville and knocked Florida off 18-16. That was a close one. I think it came down to a field goal too. Kind of the beginning of the end of Billy Napier, in my opinion, in Florida. Hate to say it because I like Billy, but it felt like the season was unraveling then. Um, September 27th, this was in Starkville when Tennessee beat Mississippi State 41-34 in overtime. Dogs played their tail off, but they came up just short. Um, that was one of those games where I kind of opened my eyes and realized, okay, State's better. And of course, they had already beaten Arizona State too, but that was a really good game between the Dogs and the Vols. September 6th, Michigan State and BC. This game went to 2 OTs. The Spartans won it 42-40 on their home field. That was a great game. September 27th, USC gets upset by Illinois 34-32. Kind of had a feeling that was going to happen for some reason, but it did. And then October 18th, UAB with a rare big win when they beat Memphis 31-24 in OT. UAB had a rough year, and so that was their shining light on the season. And then to close this out, well, I did not mean for that to happen. Okay, sorry about that. And to close this out, there's a couple more at the very bottom. October 18th, also TCU Baylor 42-36. For those who remember, TCU and Baylor always seems like they're always do a crazy game between those two. And then finally, October 4th, also Baylor beating Kansas State 35-34. All right, so that is a wrap on the 2025 best games of the regular season series. Been fun, and that is a wrap on it. Let me go ahead and close that out since I'm on it. I can't hit the right button. Sorry about that. All right, so next up, okay, let's jump in and start talking about some news and notes, shall we? All right, so Bruce, thank you, Bruce, Mr. Stuckey. Is that how you say your name? Stuckey? I hope I said that right. All right, news and news. So we got a couple of things we're going to talk about, and plus some news that I did not get an image of, but I got it. I seen it just a little bit ago. Let me go ahead and try to put this up here on my phone real quick, and I'll read it to you guys. Well, hang on here. I apologize. I'm a very slow typer. Y'all please forgive me. Hope I can find the post. Oh, okay. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is it right here. Oh, and plus some rule changes being considered. That's interesting. Alright. Okay. Anyway. Oh, I'm getting comments galore. So glad Trinidad got his earbuds. But you're right, it's sticky. Don't worry about it. Oh, well. Okay. I'm glad I said it right, Maya. Glad I said it right. Yeah, super excited that Trinidad's getting another year of eligibility. Looking forward to seeing what he can do in his final year in Oxford. All right, so we got some news and notes. We'll get rolling on these. This is some sad news. Former Purdue receiver Rondale Moore dies at the age of 25. Apparently, it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. I believe it was at his home. He was a 2018 first-team All-American for the Boilermakers. He had 14 touchdown catches in his career, 3 rushing scores, over 2,000 yards of offense. He was a phenomenal player for the Boilermakers. Went on to play in the NFL for a little bit, but don't know what happened there. I don't know if I'm not going to speculate what was going on with his life or anything, but looks to have been a self-inflicted gunshot. Sad news. Thoughts and prayers, of course, go out to his family and his friends. Definitely was a good player, and may he rest in peace. All right, next up. I don't normally talk about money on this show, but I got to give this man a shout out just because of what he has done in 2 years. Kurt Cignetti, Indiana's new head coach, gets a new contract, bumping this man's salary to $13.2 million per season through the 2033 season. Oh, Bruce coming again. I'm not too sure if he killed himself. Something just isn't adding up. Yeah, yeah, I, I, I agree. I don't know. It's just that's just what the report says. We don't obviously know for sure what happened with the young fella, but still a sad situation. Something ain't adding up, though. I agree with you. Kurt Cignetti going to $13.2 million a year on his new contract. He was making 11.6, so it kind of increased by $1.6 million pretty much. So let's just say Kurt Cignetti is rolling in the dough, and after what he's done in Bloomington, with 2 playoff appearances, a national championship, and a Big Ten championship. So yeah, I think he's earned. I think he's earned a raise. Crazy, crazy deal. All right, next up, out of Knoxville. Yeah, he did. Yeah, absolutely, he did do a great job turning this program around. Um, Tennessee judge denies Joey Aguilar, the Vols quarterback, a bid for eligibility, ending his college career. He is throwing, I believe, at the NFL Combine. Don't know the full story of his situation and what all went on behind it, but his career is officially over for the Vols. So Tennessee's obviously going to be looking for a quarterback. Now they've got quarterbacks. They picked up one in the portal from Colorado, and then they've got some good recruits coming in, but none of these cats have much experience. So quarterback's going to be a big question mark for Tennessee when we get into the spring and we get into next season. All right, Gunnar Rivers, son of NC State legend and NFL great Philip Rivers, is committed to NC State, following in his daddy's footsteps. He's going to play for the Wolfpack. He was the number 11 ranked pocket passer on the ESPN class. And so he's following daddy's footsteps and headed right up to Raleigh to play for the Wolfpack. Big time get there for Dave Doran and NC State. Congratulations. All right. Oh, I did not mean that. I really just put that up here. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. So that's a few news and notes. Also, Virginia quarterback Chandler Morris could be a blessing in disguise. He may have a season to remember. That's right. You never know. That is 100% true. Mr. Bruce, that is 100% true. Also, Virginia quarterback Chandler Morris, he's seeking another year of eligibility. He's getting a lawyer involved. He is seeking a 7th year of eligibility at Virginia. I'm reading this one. I don't have a graphic. We thought his career was over, but apparently he's trying to get another year of eligibility. And Virginia, may I add, you picked up 2 quarterbacks in the transfer portal. When it was open. All right, and then finally, let me reopen my phone. This thing closes really quickly. We've got some rule changes that are going to be considered on March 19th in the sport, including trying to get rid of the shorty shorts that Oklahoma's kicker was wearing. Leg coverings must stretch from shoes to bottom of the pants. Apparently, pass interference penalties are going to be changed to 10 yards instead of 15. Teams can choose to attempt fair catch kicks after completed fair catch. That's some rule changes. Also, there looks to potentially be some calendar changes coming that are being explored. Also, a penalty system for tampering. So, just some things to keep an eye on as we head through the off season here in college football. But looks like there could be a lot of rule changes on the horizon. All right. So once those are official, we'll discuss them more. But that one about pass interference going from 15 to 10 yards, whoa, that's different. we'll see how that affects. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to jump into schedule looks for Notre Dame and the ACC schools for the coming 2026 season. Yes, I know we're 6 months away, but hey, gives us something to talk about. See you in a minute. Welcome back, y'all, to 4th and 25. Let's see what Mr. Bruce said. Keep the shorts. Hey, that's unique, ain't it? Automatic first down at the spot of the foul for pass interference, 20 yards or more. Hey, I'd be cool with that. I would be 100% cool with that. All right, so here we go. So we're 6 months away from the next season. We got a long off. We're still, we're in what the casuals call the off season. Um, we're gonna do. We're just gonna look at some schedules. Why not? Gives us something to talk about. So we're gonna do the ACC plus Notre Dame today. We're gonna start with Notre Dame. This is what Notre Dame is looking at for the 2026 season. I'm just gonna be real with you. Yes, it is a soft schedule, but you play who you play. I mean, the coaches and the teams don't make these schedules. The athletic directors pretty much do. But this is what Notre Dame is looking at as we head into the 2026 season. Appreciate the guys who liked my video. Kevin and I think that was, I can't remember. Appreciate y'all. All right, so here's what Notre Dame's looking at as we head into the 2026 season, 6 months away. A Sunday night game with Wisconsin, Labor Day weekend. That is going to be at Lambeau Field, the home of the Packers, obviously. That's going to be cool. Love seeing a college game at Lambeau occasionally. But Wisconsin, Luke Fickell, you know how rough things have been up there. We'll see how they look. Rice, okay, yeah. Michigan State, obviously, history of that series. Sad to not, by the way, no USC. Sad to not see Notre Dame playing USC. That's obviously such a big time historical rivalry. It still sucks not seeing them play Michigan either, but look where we are. Anyway, Michigan State, they have, by the way, Rice and Michigan State are at home. Then you got a couple of road trips. It looks like Purdue, yeah. And then North Carolina, obviously the Irish headed up there to play Belichick's crew. That's the games they should win. Then you play Stanford at home. They're obviously with a first-year coach. And then in the second half of the season, you go to BYU. That's not going to be easy. BYU, of course, like recommended training in the mountains to prep for teams who play in the mountains. That way players will get used to the altitude change. Yeah, absolutely. And that's going to come in handy for that BYU game I'm on October 17th. BYU, of course, coming off the Big 12 runner-up season. Navy, Notre Dame plays Navy every year. Nothing wrong there. Miami, November 7th. That is going to be the biggest game on this schedule. November 7th, the rematch. They obviously had a great game in South Florida this past year. Playoff implications, who knows? BC at home, SMU at home. That's the sleeper game. SMU, as we all know, has come on really good since they moved up to the Power Four in the ACC. They're legitimate. That's going to be a tricky one. I think that's one that Notre Dame could overlook easily if they aren't careful. And then at Syracuse to close out, Notre Dame and Syracuse usually play a lot. So you have four ACC opponents. You have a Big 12 opponent, a couple of three Big 10 opponents actually. I'm sorry. I forget about Stanford. I'm an idiot. You've got five ACC opponents, three Big 10 opponents, a Big 12, and a couple of G6 opponents. Okay. So that's what Notre Dame's looking at for the 2026 season. Wait a minute. Hold on. Strange they dropped Ohio State. Normally they play each other. Yeah, I mean, they do play a lot. It stinks not seeing USC on this schedule, and it's and it's weird not seeing them play USC or Michigan. You're not an idiot. We make hiccups. That's life. What did Ian say? Does Notre Dame boycott it? Oh, I was hoping somebody would say it. Ian, if they get left out of the playoff again, they might just boycott the whole thing. Who knows? They might crown themselves national champions. They might do like UCF did a few years ago. Just give themselves a banner. Who knows? I think there's actually a rule now for this upcoming season where if they're like in the top 12, they get a bid automatically or something. I can't remember the rule though. But yeah, who knows, Ian? But anyway, so this is Notre Dame's schedule. Pretty. I don't look. We don't know what these teams are going to be like. We're 6 months away, but it could very well be a soft schedule, or it could be a tough one. Who knows? I think I look at Wisconsin just because of excitement, but I look at BYU, Miami, and SMU in the second half of that schedule. That's the three that really jump out to me. He said, "Thought you'd like that." Or drop football altogether. Yeah, Bruce, they might get mad and be like, "Oh, we're just dropping football. We're just done. We can't get in the playoff. We're done." Yeah, they do get auto bid this year if they get in the top 12. Okay, so with that schedule, there's no excuse they're not in the top 12. I'm calling it now. I'll just go ahead and call it. If they do not get into the top 12 with that schedule, I mean, come on. All right. So that's Notre Dame's schedule. So let's go to the ACC. That's who we're going to highlight this week. Next week, we're going to do the Big 12. All right. So I'm going to do these 17 ACC schedules fairly quick. They shouldn't sleep on Michigan. No, yeah, 100%. Pat Fitzgerald, new head coach at East Lansing, Big Ten guy. He knows Big Ten country. He knows the Chicago area really well for recruiting. Phenomenal coach. We all know what he did at Northwestern before he was, in my opinion, done wrong. Michigan State's going to be a lot better under him. I agree. 100%. I'm glad you pointed that out. Thank you. Okay, so for our ACC schools, we're going to just start this thing in alphabetical order as best as we can. We'll start with Bill O'Brien's crew. This is Boston College and their schedule. They obviously had a little bit of a tough year. Let's see. I agree. They should absolutely be top 12. Those late games you mentioned, Michigan State, Wisconsin. Yeah, agreed wholeheartedly. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all joining the chat with me. All right, so here's BC's schedule. They're going to open up with Cincinnati from the Big 12. Okay, kind of brings back memories of the Big East. That is at home, I believe. Yeah. Then they've got a trip to Rutgers, another old Big East rival from the good old days. Oh no, wait, I'm sorry. Cincinnati is away and Rutgers is at home. Okay. I had to look real closely. I think I'm going blind. Cincinnati on the road, that's not going to be easy. Now Cincinnati of course lost a lot of guys in the portal, new quarterback, blah blah blah. You got Rutgers coming in, so reuniting some old Big East rivalries. That's cool. Then you play Maine, you should win that game. Then you've got your ACC opener. That is at home against Virginia Tech under new head coach James Franklin. That could be interesting. You got a trip to SMU. That may not be pretty. You've got Pitt coming in. Obviously, one of your annual opponents. Rivalry game up in the Northeast. Should be fun. Got to go to Georgia Tech. Y'all see what Georgia Tech has become. We'll see how they do with Little Mendoza as their quarterback since Haynes King has moved on. And plus, they picked up the Michigan running back, Justice Haynes. That was Georgia Tech should still be strong. Duke on the road. If Darren Mensah and that receiver had left, had not left Duke, I would be really worried about this game and give Duke a win probably. But Duke, even though they're reigning ACC champions, they're going to start over at quarterback now, so I don't know what Duke's going to be like. I'm not saying BC will be top 10 at the end, but I think they'll be legitimate contenders for the ACC championship. Very possible. Very possible. I mean, we saw Duke win this thing last year, so anything is possible. Hey, all right. And so they got Duke away. Florida State at home. Mike Norvell's on the time clock, it sounds like. The trip to Notre Dame, that's not going to be fun. And then they got Syracuse at home, rivalry game. Who knows? And then they close at Miami. I don't know, but that might be a Black Friday game. We'll have to just keep a check on that. But Miami, BC, they seem to find each other every year just about. If we all remember the Flutie Hail Mary. But Miami will probably be heavily favored if I had to guess. So, anyway, and by the way, before I forget, ACC, weird scheduling with 17 schools. Um, 5 of the schools will only play 8 conference games, but the other 12 are going to play 9, which is going to be weird for tiebreakers. But what do I know? I'm just a fan. Maybe you need an 18th member. UConn. Anyway, moving on. So that's BC schedule. All right, moving on. Let's take a look at the reigning conference champions. Let's look at Duke's schedule for the year. Now, Duke, obviously, again, expectations were going to be really high, but when the deal with Darren Mensah happened and his best receiver both went with him to Miami, now you don't know what Duke's going to look like. The Doug Flutie, yeah. The Hail Mary. Classic college football moment. I remember watching videos of it so many times. So here's what Duke has for the 2026 season as we jump ahead and get an early look. They will host Tulane. Seems like Duke plays Tulane every year in non-conference. Tulane beat them last year. Illinois is at home. They just played Illinois. No, Illinois is away. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Tulane's at home. Illinois is away. They hosted Illinois last year, and that was a crazy game. I think Illinois won, if I remember correctly. But then they'll have an ACC home game with Stanford, a non-con game against William and Mary of the FCS, a trip to Georgia Tech. That's not going to be fun. North Carolina, the rivalry game at home. That should be at the end of the year. Duke and North Carolina, I don't care. I know it's football, not basketball. But that should be at the end of the season, in my opinion. Then you got to go to Virginia for the Deep South's oldest rivalry. Virginia looks to be so much better under Tony Elliott. BC at home. Then you got back-to-back road trips that aren't going to be easy to your rival NC State. And then Miami. Darren Mensah and your old quarterback and his receiver, they're going to be waiting on you when you come down there to play them. I'm so sorry, Duke. Then you've got Clemson at home, and you close out with rival Wake Forest at the end of the year. So this is what Duke looks like. I battle for the bell between Duke and UNC. Yep, the old victory bell. So obviously expectations kind of changed because of the portal, but this is what Duke is looking at for the 2026 season. All right, moving on. Let's look at the Cal Golden Bears. I still cannot believe they're an ACC school. This is head scratching, but it is what it is. It's the world we live in. All right, so here's what Cal has. Opening weekend, UCLA. Cool. Okay, so the Cal UCLA rivalry is back this year. It's Big Ten and ACC, and not a Pac-12 game. It's still weird. I know the Pac-12's alive again, but it's still very weird. ACC opener, you're at Syracuse the following week. Very winnable game. Cal had a really good portal class. I love their coach, Tosh Lapoy. They're going to be good on defense. They got a good QB. Going to be very interesting to see how good Cal is. Then they got to go. They have a FCS team coming in. I don't know whose logo that is. I cannot remember who that school is on September 19th. If anybody knows, please comment because I can't look right now. The following week, they play Clemson at home. That is going to be a Friday night game. Clemson at Cal. That'll be interesting. Clemson, be careful. October 3rd, you got to go to Vegas to play UNLV. Good, very good G6 program. You got Virginia Tech coming in the following week. That'll be a good game. You've got Wake Forest the week after that, and then the following week, either a Friday or Saturday game, not announced yet, obviously, because we're a long way off. But then SMU, that game will be in Dallas on the 23rd or the 24th. That's going to be a very tough game. Then you go to NC State. That's going to obviously not be easy the following week. That also says Thursday or Friday to be announced later. They get a late bye week. Oh man, 9 games and then a bye week. Then you got to go to Virginia. That's not going to be fun. Then you play your arch rival Stanford. Obviously, the Axe, Cal, Stanford. Looks like Western Carolina. Okay. You got Stanford, your arch rival. That is a home game, and then you close out with Pitt. So Cal and Pitt at the end of the year. That's very weird. But hey, it is what it is. So this is what Cal has with their new first-year coach. Manageable, but there's some tricky ones. We'll see what happens with the Cal Golden Bears. All right, next up, let's move to Clemson. Let me pull Clemson's schedule up real fast. Where did it go? There it is. All right, let's take a look at the Clemson Tigers. So here's what Clemson's going to have for the 2026 slate. Early look. Obviously, week one, need I say more? LSU in Baton Rouge. Huge game against Lane Kiffin and the LSU Tigers. That is going to be a monstrous game. LSU won it last year, I think, by 7 at Clemson. It was a really good football game. We'll see what they do this time in Baton Rouge. Then you've got Georgia Southern at home. North Carolina at home, round 2 of Belichick versus Dabo. The following week, the Friday night trip to Cal. You've got Miami coming in October 3rd. That is a huge game. Of course, we'll see how good Clemson is this year. I remember Clemson did just go 7-6. The Charleston Southern Buccaneers, October 17th. I know that logo. Then Virginia Tech coming in. Maybe a good game, possibly. We'll see what Virginia Tech is. You got the trip to Florida State. And then either Friday or Saturday, not sure yet, is the Syracuse game, November 6th or 7th. That is at Syracuse. Those of you who have watched Clemson and Syracuse the last several years, Syracuse, for some reason, has this team's number. It's like Oklahoma and Bama, sort of. It's like Syracuse goes all out against Clemson. I don't know what it is. Looks like Clemson's trying to get back the real Tiger name back. Yep, week 1, absolutely. But Syracuse, for some reason, always gives Clemson trouble. They beat them last year. Then they got Georgia Tech at home. That's a great series at Duke. And then, of course, the rivalry game with South Carolina at the end of the season. Thankfully, that rivalry looks to not be going nowhere. It needs to be every year at the end of the year. Hopefully, it stays that way. So anyway, this is what Clemson's looking at as they will look to 2026 to get back on track and be one of the nation's elite programs because they were a big-time disappointment last season. Reason I know is because I picked them to get to the national championship. But anyway, that is Clemson's 2026 schedule. All right, so we've done Duke, we've done Cal, Clemson, BC, so we've got 13 more to go. Okay, all right, so next up, we're going to do Florida State's schedule. Here's what Florida State has on tap for the 2026 season. Oops. Well, all right, so here's Florida State's 2026 schedule. They play week 0. They have a week 0 game. They will host New Mexico State on week 0, August 29th. Hopefully they don't have no weather problems because y'all know how August is in Florida. Ugh. Hopefully they don't have no weather trouble. And then Labor Day, September 7th, your Labor Day night game will be SMU and Florida State. Okay. So seems like Florida State plays on Labor Day just about every other year. I'm not gonna fuss though. This might be a good game. SMU, Florida State, they'll have the prime time all to themselves. It'll be all on them. So they have Labor Day. They are off the next week, and then September 19th. Looky. Florida State will be going to Tuscaloosa to try to sweep Alabama. They beat Bama, if you remember, this past year, week 1 in Tallahassee somehow, and then they didn't even make a bowl game. That's how crazy it was. But Alabama fans, Alabama's team, Kalen DeBoer, they're all going to have this game circled. You know Bama's going to want revenge. So we'll see. And then they have Central Arkansas at home. And then another game that they're going to have circled, October, is that 3rd? That says 3rd. Is that Friday or Saturday? That's Saturday, okay. October 3rd, Virginia. Let's see if Bama turns the tables on them. Yeah, absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. See if they can. October 3rd, Virginia coming into Tallahassee. That game, another one they're going to have circled. Remember, Virginia beat them this past year in a very classic. Then you got a Friday night game that is at Louisville. Um, Another good series. And then the following week, the rivalry game with Miami that is in Miami. You have your second off week because they play week 0. Clemson is coming to Tallahassee. Obviously, that'll be a big deal. Then you've got to go to BC, and then a Friday night game at Pittsburgh. Who knows how that goes? Then you come back home for NC State, and then you close out with your arch nemesis, the Florida Gators, on Black Friday, too. Virginia has been the jinx for FSU lately. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Virginia has been a jinx to Florida State like Syracuse has to Clemson, if that makes any sense. That is a very good point. So anyway, they close out with the Black Friday game against Florida. Mike Norvell, as y'all know, his seat is hot. He is on the hot seat entering this year. I don't think that has to be explained. They probably couldn't, from what it sounds like, they were not able to afford his buyout, so that's why he's back this year. But maybe he turns it around. But his clock's ticking. His clock is ticking. All right, let's move on and let's look at the boys from Atlanta. Let's look at Georgia Tech. This is their 2026 schedule. This team almost made the ACC championship game. Yeah, the Seminole Canoe. That's right, Seminole War Canoe. I always forget the name of that trophy. Love that series. All right, so here's what Georgia Tech has. And by the way, shout out to Georgia Tech, guys. Look at this schedule. You play in non-conference, you play 2 SEC teams and a Big 12 team. So you play 3 Power 4 non-conference games. This is one of the schools that's only playing 8 ACC games. Okay. Week 1, Colorado. That is a Thursday night game. I believe that's going to be a Thursday night game in Atlanta. I think ESPN's probably going to do that game, but we'll see. So you got Coach Prime and the Buffs coming in on September 3rd. And then the next week, you got Tennessee coming in. Ooh. Wow. And then you got Mercer. That's your easiest game of the year. You got Mercer at home. And then you got an ACC road game. That is at Stanford. Then you take a week off. And then you've got Duke coming in. Then you got a trip to Blacksburg. A trip to Boston College. You've got Pitt coming in on the 31st. No, it's at Pitt. I'm sorry. Then you got Louisville coming in November 7th. That could be a good game. The trip to Clemson. We know that's going to be a good one. You got Wake Forest coming in. We don't know what they're like yet. And then you close at Georgia and Athens. So interesting schedule though for Georgia Tech. This is a very, very, very good schedule outside of that Mercer game. We'll see what Colorado and Tennessee are like. That might change the complexion of the schedule when we get to the end of the year. But this is what Georgia Tech has. All right. Next up, let's take a look at the Louisville Cardinals in their 2026 slate. Just an early look at their schedule. That first game, it says September 5th or September 6th. We don't know yet which day. I have a funny feeling that might be September 6th, but it's in Nashville, and they'll be playing my school. They'll be playing Ole Miss at the Titan Stadium in Nashville. Don't ask me why. Neutral site game, I don't know. But Louisville, Ole Miss, that first weekend, like I said, my gut says September 6th, but we'll see. But then you'll have a Friday night game against Villanova. Your first ACC game against SMU on September 19th. That's going to be a big one. That should be one of the conference's bigger games. You've got Wake Forest coming in the next week. Don't overlook that one. You got a trip to NC State. Always a tough place to play. Florida State coming in on October 9th. That's a Friday night game. Could be a huge game. Who knows? You've got to go to Syracuse. You got your off week. And then you've got Stanford coming in on the 31st. And then this next one says November 6th or 7th. So not sure yet. At Georgia Tech. Maybe a Friday night game. Might be a Saturday game. We'll see. November 14th, you're at North Carolina. Obviously, that who knows. Then you got Pitt, and then you close with your arch nemesis, the Kentucky Wildcats, and that is at Kentucky, by the way. Brian Brom works the portal good. We'll see what his quarterback situation's like. Louisville should be good again, though, and this is what they will see. All right, next up, let's do We'll do one more and then we'll take a quick break. All right, let's look at the team that finished runner-up in national. The national runner-up. Let's look at the Miami Hurricanes. This is their 2026 schedule for Mario Cristobal's crew. They actually open up with the ACC game. They will play Friday night, September 4th at Stanford. Stanford has a new coach. I am so sorry that he was rewarded with this. But they're at Stanford, and then they host at Florida A&M. Then they go to Wake Forest. By the way, that Florida A&M game is going to be a Thursday night game. Then they go to Wake Forest. Who knows? Winston-Salem could be rocking for that game. You've got Central Michigan coming in at Clemson. That'll be a big one probably. Florida State, of course. Pitt at North Carolina. The huge game probably at Notre Dame November 7th. That'll be obviously a monster game. Duke is at home. They actually closed with 3 home games. Yeah, they closed with 3 home games. Okay. Yeah. Duke, Virginia Tech, and then Boston College. So probably a very manageable 3-game stretch there to close out. But there's some sprinkles of in there. Like, don't sleep on that trip to Wake. Don't sleep on the trip to Clemson. Can't overlook Florida State. Can't overlook Pitt at Notre Dame. So that's Miami's schedule. Should be very interesting to see how the Canes come off of finishing runner-up this past year, number 2, only losing the national title at the very end to Indiana. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue on with these schedules. We've got just a few more to go. Yeah, we ain't got very many more to go. We'll be back right after this. We're going to take a quick break.
To hate Andrew Anderson, spitting truth that just can't wait. Got a podcast like a punch right to your face. College sports villain, taking it over the place. I bring the facts whether you like it or not. Dropping truth bombs, giving it all I got. They call me a villain. Well, I wear that badge with pride. Nothing but secrets they try to hide. Rebellious to the core, I won't back down, won't take it anymore. The bad guy of the podcast world, that's me, unleashing the truth, setting it all free.
Alright guys, welcome back to 4th and 25 with J-Ram. Alright, continuing on with our ACC 2026 schedule look along, I think we got 9 schools left. Let's look at NC State. This is what NC State's looking at on the 2026 slate. Week 0, that is an ACC game. They are playing Virginia, and yes, you see that flag. It is in Brazil. International game. That's all I know to say. Why are we taking games away from campuses? I have no idea. What do I know? Anyway, so they got Virginia in Brazil. Then you got an off week. Get 2 of them because you're playing week 0. Then you play you play Richmond. You go to Vanderbilt. That could be a very interesting non-conference game, SEC, ACC. You got Appalachia State coming in. ACC game with Louisville. That's going to be a big one. You got Wake coming in. Rivalry game. You never know. At Stanford. Remember, Florida State lost to Stanford. Just saying. You got Cal coming in. By the way, Stanford and Cal will either be a Friday or Saturday game for Wake Forest. The Stanford game and the Cal game, and then the following game with Duke. All 3 of those will either be Friday or Saturday. Then you've got Syracuse coming in. That is going to be your final home game, November 14th. By the way, the second bye week is between Wake and Stanford. But your last home game is November 14th against Syracuse. Then you go to Florida State, and you close, of course, at North Carolina against your arch nemesis, the Tar Heels. So that's the NC State schedule. Pretty stock schedule for conference. All right, let's move over and keep it in the state of North Carolina. Let's look at the Tar Heels. Year 2 of the Bill Belichick experiment. Regardless of how you feel about it, He's back. They will play again on week 0, just like NC State. They will play on week 0 overseas, as they will play TCU in Ireland. This is the same, I don't remember what they call this. It's got some kind of a name to it. It's some kind of kickoff classic. It's the same game Iowa State and Kansas State played in last year over there. But this year it's going to be TCU and North Carolina live in Ireland. That's going to be a good game, though. TCU thumped them last year, but will they thump them again? After your first bye week, they play East Tennessee State. ACC opener with Clemson the following week. I'm trying to see. That game is at Clemson. Then you've got Notre Dame coming in. Oh, their second bye week is, they're both their bye weeks are in the first month of the season almost. October 3rd, you got Notre Dame coming in. Then you're at Pitt, at Duke, winnable. Who knows? Syracuse is at home, at Miami. Your final non-con game is November 7th, and it's actually at UConn. That's interesting. You got Louisville, Virginia's on the road, and then you close at home against NC State. So this is what year 2 looks like from an early glance so far for Bill Belichick's crew. Some winnable games and some tough games. I would not put them to beat Notre Dame, or Miami. But outside of that, who knows? Or TCU maybe. We'll see. But this is an early look at what the Tar Heels are facing. All right, moving on. Let's take a look at Pitt. We talked about them a little bit because of some of the other schedules. But here's what Pitt has for the 2026 slate. They're going to open up with Miami, Ohio, one of the Max Better programs. Okay, the Redhawks coming in. They've actually got 4 home games to start the season. It just dawned on me. They've got 4 home games to start. You got UCF coming in. That'll be a good ACC Big 12 clash between the Knights and the Panthers. That might be a really good game. Who knows? You got Syracuse coming in. That's a Thursday night game to start ACC play. Is that a Thursday night? Yeah, Thursday night game with Syracuse. Who knows? Bucknell, your FCS game. They do not go on the road until October 2nd. Their 5th game, it's in Blacksburg. That ain't going to be easy against James Franklin's Hokies, Virginia Tech. Then you're back home against North Carolina. So Pitt gets the benefit of 5 of their first 6 at home. Unfortunately, they play in an NFL stadium, so they really don't have a great home field advantage, in my opinion. But in the second half, you have a little bit difficult situation because 4 of your last 6 are on the road. You got to go to BC. That's winnable. You got to go to Miami. That's Then you got Georgia Tech at home. Florida State at home. And then you close at Louisville and Cal. Those are not going to be easy. So there's a good chance at a good start here for Pitt. But that second half, good luck. Good luck, Pitt. You're going to need it. All right, next up, let's take a look at SMU and Rhett Lashley's crew. This is what they're looking at for the 2026 schedule early on. Again, Labor Day night at Florida State. I like the SMU Florida State game. That could be maybe it'll be a good Labor Day game. We'll see. Should be fun. Big game in the ACC race. Then you got UC Davis at Louisville. That'll be a big game on the conference slate. Missouri State at home. Conference USA school. You got BC at home. You got your bye week. You got a really good Virginia team coming in on October 17th. We'll see what happens with the Chandler Morris lawsuit to get his eligibility. The next 3 games are either they're either Friday or Saturday. We'll know later on. They got Cal at Syracuse. That game with Virginia Tech, it says November 6th or 7th. Who knows? Because I think Virginia Tech's going to be the breakout team in 2026. I think they're going to surprise. But then you got Wake Forest at home. You close out at Notre Dame. That's not going to be easy, obviously. And then you finish out at Stanford. Anyone else still struggle with SMU and Stanford being an ACC game? Or am I by myself? Who knows? But that's what Rhett Lashley's crew is looking at for this season. All right, let's look at Stanford, who got the shaft. I'm sorry, but this is the most brutal schedule of the ACC, in my opinion, outside of one non-conference game. That's, of course, the Elon game that you see at the bottom, October 17th. But the rest of this schedule, poor Stanford. Poor Stanford. You got Hawaii again, week 0. They're improved. You got Miami coming in on Friday, September 4th. Ugh. At Duke. Ugh. Georgia Tech. Ugh. At Wake Forest. Oh no. At Notre Dame. Yikes. The Elon game. NC State, that's either going to be a Friday or Saturday game. That ain't going to be easy. At Louisville. At Virginia Tech. At Cal. 3 straight road games. Have mercy on these guys, please. And then they close with SMU. My lord. The schedule makers at the ACC shoved it to Stanford. I don't know what Stanford did to make them mad, but good grief, this was not nice. All right, next up, let's look at Syracuse. They had a rough year this past year. I think they won 3 or 4 games after the 10-win team the year before. Fran Brown will be looking to turn it around up there in Syracuse. They open with New Hampshire, should win that game. ACC opener with Cal. That could be a good game. Who knows? Then you got 3 road trips, a Thursday night trip to Pitt. Then you got to go to UConn. Those aren't going to be easy. UConn's a much improved program. At Virginia, that's really not going to be easy. Then you've got Louisville coming in. Who knows what that game's going to be like? That's going to be a tough one. At North Carolina, maybe winnable. Who knows? The next 2 are Friday or Saturday games, SMU and Clemson. That's going to be ugly. Then you're at NC State. Yikes. At BC. And then you close, of course, with Notre Dame. And that's actually at home. But this is a brief look at Syracuse's schedule. I'm sorry I didn't get a better graphic. But that was the only one I could find for some reason. But that is Syracuse's schedule. All right, 3 more to go. Let's take a look at Virginia Tech. And the James Franklin era begins in Blacksburg. Super excited for this team, this program, this fan base. I'm ready to see what happens with this coach. Obviously, he's a really good coach. They open up with VMI, Old Dominion, who has gave them fits. If you've watched Old Dominion and Virginia Tech, you know what I'm talking about. They, for some reason, have this program's number. That might change under James Franklin, though. I'm just saying. Those both are at home. Then they go to Maryland on the 19th, so you get an ACC Big Ten game there, winnable. At Boston College to start conference play. Then you've got Pitt coming in. That's a Friday night game? Yeah. Then you got to go to Cal on the 10th. You got Georgia Tech coming in. Those are going to be tough. The trip to Clemson on the 24th. That's obviously going to be brutal. After a bye week, you've got Stanford coming in, very winnable. Then you've got to go to Miami. I believe that's a Friday night game. And then the final game of the year, of course, your arch nemesis, the Virginia Cavaliers. So, this is what James Franklin's crew's looking at in year 1. Some very difficult games and some very winnable games. First things first, get by VMI, of course, no disrespect, but get over the Old Dominion curse. Can you win it at a Big Ten game, at a Big Ten stadium? Can you get by some teams like Cal and Pitt? What's Georgia Tech going to be like? Who knows? Is Clemson going to be better? They should, but who knows? SMU's not going to be easy. Of course, Miami, Virginia. Some very tricky ones. It's going to be an interesting first year for James Franklin and his Hokies. All right, 2 more to go. Let's look at Virginia, the reigning ACC runner-up and Gator Bowl champions, who won 11 games last year. Had a really good season. Shout out to Tony Elliott and his staff. Week 0, of course, the NC State game. For some reason, we're playing in Brazil. Again, why are we taking home games away from campus? What do I know? NC State. And then you'll come back after your first off week. You'll play Norfolk State. West Virginia. Okay, so we get a Big 12 ACC clash between these 2 regional foes. Sorry, I heard a machine out here. It sounded like gunshots. They got Delaware after West Virginia. I think that closes out the non-con slate. Let me make sure. Yeah, that was a helicopter. Sorry, y'all, we got a helicopter coming over my house. After Delaware, they play at Florida State. You got Syracuse coming in, winnable, but Florida State, you know, wants revenge. At SMU, October 17th. That's not going to be fun. Rematch with Duke, ACC Championship rematch, October 23rd or 24th. Then they're at Wake Forest. You got Cal November 14th. You got arch nemesis North Carolina on the 21st. The Deep South's oldest rivalry, for those who don't know. And then they close with the Commonwealth Cup at Virginia Tech on November 28th. That'll obviously be a big game. Can Tony Elliott's crew back up their double-digit win season? We shall see. All right, our last schedule. Let's look at Wake Forest, a team that caught a lot of people by surprise last year. They won 9 games. They won their bowl game. They beat SMU. They beat an SEC team. Let's see what they got. Thursday night, September 3rd, my birthday, actually. My birthday. They've got Akron. Okay. And then they got to go to Purdue. That's going to be it. That might be an interesting game. Then you've got a Friday night ACC game. That is Miami. That's a Friday night game. Okay. Unrivaled weekend. Miami coming in. That's going to be a huge game. Let's just say the Wake Forest fan base better come out and support the team because they're going to need to for that game. Then they're at Louisville. That won't be easy. You've got Stanford, winnable at NC State, tricky. At Cal, Virginia after your bye week. Okay, Merrimack. They play Merrimack November 7th, so they're playing. Okay. And then at SMU, at Georgia Tech, and then they close with Duke. There's a good chance with what they got coming back and what they picked up. Wake Forest could duplicate 9 wins. Who knows? But they're going to have to. They're going to have some tough games. Miami, Louisville, NC State, Cal, Virginia, SMU, Georgia Tech. A lot of tricky ones on that schedule for the Demon Deacons. So we shall see. But anyway. All right, guys. That's all. 17 ACC schedules plus Notre Dame's schedule. Giving you an early glimpse, just an early look at 2026 to give us some content here. All right, I'm going to take one final break, and when we come back, we're going to do our non-football segment. We're going to look at country music superstar Tim McGraw, and I'm going to give you my top 10 favorite Tim McGraw songs. Last week we did, who did we do last week? Oh, Gary Allen. Yeah, we did Gary Allen last week. This week we're going to do Tim McGraw. But we will see y'all again in a minute.
Look at me, lost at sea, circling eternally. Come and help me from this insanity. Where am I disgrace? I hate to see your face. I wanna see you drown in your sorrow. You know I'm not the same. I'm fading away. I'm falling into my grave.
All right, guys. Welcome back to 4th to 25. This has been a good episode. Thank y'all for tuning in. All right. Our non-football segment. So we've been in the country music. We started to get into the country music side of things. We did a lot of food stuff last year, but this year we're going to do some music. And we'll do some other things as we go through the off season. So for country music, this was a tough one. We did Gary Allen last week. This week I decided to do Tim McGraw, and I literally had a tough time picking 10 songs that I love that I've always liked from him. So here's what I settled on, and may I mind you now, a lot of these are older songs, and I'm talking 90s, some early 2000s. Not a lot of his newer stuff, and that's not a shot. I'm not dogging him, but I'm a 90s country guy especially. So here's the 10 Tim McGraw songs I chose, and number 1 at the top you see. I put "Don't Take the Girl." That is a great song. It's kind of sad, but it's also a really good song. Who remembers something like that? That song was huge when I was a kid. It was a big time party anthem. Maybe we should just sleep on it. That might be a kind of like a what? Why is that song in there? Really good beat to it. I've always liked the sound of that song. Live Like You Were Dying. Very great message. Song pulls on the heartstrings. It reminds me of my granddads when they were both dealing with cancer and how they were enjoying life as much as they could before God called them home. Really, really special song. Makes me think about their fishing trips and things that they did before they left this world. Everywhere, really good song. I've always liked the beat to it too. Really good sound. Not a moment too soon. Like one of his maybe his first hit single, his first legitimate hit single. I don't know how to explain it. It's one of those songs I just love to listen to. I like it. I love it. Of course. If this song's not in your Tim McGraw top 10, I almost want to look at you funny, but hey, it's your choice. Uh, I like it. I love it. Want some more of it? Great song. Great song. Will stand the test of time to me. She never lets it go to her heart. Another song, I don't know how to explain it other than I just love the sound of it. The music is really, really good. Number two, Indian Outlaw, of course. I mean, that's a classic. I think that song still gets big time love. Um, yeah, great sound, great story. Just love Indian Outlaw. And my pick for my favorite Tim McGraw song, this one's going to be kind of a sad maybe, but I've always liked Please Remember Me. It is a really, really good song. I remember the first time I seen the video, I thought there was something suicidal in it because he had a match in front, like a lighter in front of him. I was thinking, what's he fixing to do? But thankfully, it wasn't that. But really good song. Please remember me. Great beat. I know it's like kind of sad, but just always loved that song. So, and there were so many good ones that just missed this top 10 list for me. I mean, The Cowboy and Me is a great one. If you're reading this, is a really good one with a great message. Um, Down on the Farm. I mean, Southern Voice. There's so many good ones that just missed the cut. But anyway, yeah, this is my top 10. I always put number ones out the album cover that I have it for on here. But anyway, there's your number one. All right, guys, this has been a really good show. Thank y'all for watching. I got up to 10 viewers. That's awesome for me. Um, really, really happy with that. All right, so before we get out of here, I'm going to close with my Bible verse. I just actually read my morning devotional this morning and thought about this verse pretty hard. Psalm 37, verse 4. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thy heart. Delight in the Lord. Yes, I've been delighted so much with how much he loves me, cares about us. He sent his son to die for us. That's pretty powerful. That's pretty big love right there, my friends. He's an amazing God. He's an amazing God. We serve a wonderful God. And he's gave me so many chances and he never gives up on me. That's incredible itself. All right, guys. I'm gonna get out of here. Appreciate y'all again for tuning in and listening to me yap. We'll be back next week. I'm gonna probably do Thursday again because it looks like I do better with the viewers on Thursday and Friday or Thursday and Wednesday than I do on the weekends. So next week's show, we're gonna do Big 12 schedules. We're gonna look at the Big 12. We'll probably do the other independent too, UConn. We'll probably do Big 12. We'll do UConn. If there's any news and notes, any big news comes out, we'll talk about that. And as far as music, we'll do Brooks and Dunn next week. We'll do my top 10 Brooks and Dunn songs. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all. This has been a lot of fun. Hopefully, we're going to upgrade here before long and get us a legitimate studio and try to build this thing and see where we go. But I pray to the Lord that it works out and we'll see where we go. Thank you guys for supporting me. I appreciate y'all. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves and may God bless.